What a day, a belter in the East Midlands for what we hope will be another showstopper in the Champions Cup. European rugby has been delivering in spades this weekend. Excitement and drama everywhere you look, and this should provide more of the same. So a trio of back row men coming back into the picture for Leicester for this one. Brendan O'Connor starts at open side after coming off the bench last week. Mike Fitzgerald is at blind side. Lockie McCaffrey back at 8, where he's enjoyed his best days this season. Harry Thacker continues at hooker. Tom Young sadly sidelined for the rest of the campaign. A muscular lock pairing, and behind the scrum, Freddie Burns preferred at 10, with last week's destroyers Tuolangi and Beetham outside him. Those two devastating against Gloucester. Vayano switching to the wing, with Matt Tate captaining the side from fullback. Champions of the top 14 have endured half-back trouble throughout this season. They've been mixing and matching far too much for many. This week the coach, Gonzalo Quesada, has chosen Mornay Steyn at fly half, ahead of Jules Plisson, the Springbok, who sank the Lions back in 2009, and he's combining with former Tiger Julien Dupuis, who'll be well known to the Welford Road faithful. Jonathan Danty will offer the gain line punch in the midfield. Jibril Kamara, prolific in the top 14 from fullback. Up front, Sergio Parise will lead the way from number 8. Lakafia, a dynamic presence on the flank, and he'll be helped in the carrying department by the likes of Flonkar and Slimani. Tigers with plenty in reserve. Mulapola and De Chavez can add to the ball-carrying contingent. Croft's pace could cause some trouble late on, with Williams a calm presence at 10 to help close things out. Stade have the experience of Burden, the giant Alberts as well. Plisson waiting his turn, and Hugo Bonneval unlucky not to start. So there are the reigning French champions, but they've been miles off their best recently. They've lost 5 of their last 6, third from bottom in the top 14, with the playoffs, the barrage, just a distant, unrealistic dream really. So their season hangs on the Champions Cup, hangs on today. Maybe even the job of Gonzalo Quesada hangs on today. Got to find their form, find their fluency in one of the great bear pits of European rugby. But what a man to lead them out, Lawrence. Sergio Parise, just monstrous in everything he does on the field and indeed off it as a leader.
Yeah, just a wonderful leader, wonderful rugby player. Leads by complete example, and Stade Francais delighted to have him back. They haven't seen enough of him this season. We talked about that before in the build-up.
Well, Welford Road has been an unforgiving host venue to continental visitors. The Tigers have lost once here in 31 European matches. Staggering. More than a decade since a French side made off with the spoils from here. Size of the task facing Stade Francais, but they have big characters, they have big players, international quality. They have the capacity, that's for sure, but can they deal with the atmosphere? Can they deal with the fervour of Leicester, who face a 7 days that really will make or break their season? Stade here today to clinch a first European Cup semi-final in 7 years, and then Saints next Saturday at Franklin's Gardens, that will go a long way to deciding their Premiership fate. Well, they've enjoyed an excellent European campaign. The trip to Paris, their only defeat at the pool stages, that included a priceless bonus point here against today's opponents in round 1. Victories home and away over Munster. A record European defeat on the Munster men at Thomond Park. But it's all about today. No better than quarter-finalists since 2009. They won't have a better chance to put that straight than today in front of 26,000 fans at Fever Pitch. As Richard Cockrell was saying pre-match, Lawrence, Leicester have earned the right to play in front of their own fans.
Yeah, they've struggled when they've had to go away, as any side would in the quarter-final. It's so important, and you know, whilst they had to come from behind against Gloucester, Richard Cockrell said it was good to see a bit of the old Leicester back, the old bite, the old dog in their performance.
Ben Youngs up against a former Tiger, a big sigh from Richard Cockerell. He knows the size of this event here today. Eddie Jones is able to watch with a relaxed eye and a little chat with Jean de Villiers. Those two were deeply in conversation, of course, before he joined England, when he was to take up the post of the Stormers, Western Province in Cape Town. Two clubs rich in history in their own right, rich in history as well as opponents. The final from 2001 still fresh in the minds of many. Short, stabbing kick-off from Leicester, and Stade immediately into the game. Of course, the tightest of quarter-finals back in 2007 as well. Not to mention the pool stages in this campaign. This is Hugh Pyle, Australian lock, crashing over the 10-metre line. First touch of the ball for Parise. And onwards they go through Ross, Jono Ross, a South African playing on the blind side today. Slimani, a little step from the tight head. And Borfis, busy presence at hooker, reflected by his counterpart Harry Thacker. Very similar players. Lakafia, bruising run over halfway. Dupuis to Parise. Slimani again. Shut down at source, but they're moving the ball with great freedom, Stade, in these early exchanges. Pyle brought to ground by Tuolangi. So good last week against Gloucester in tandem with Beetham. Parise, Slimani, the intercept. Beetham needs some support. Gonover's there. Tigers now approaching the 22. Different complexion on things. Thacker releasing Burns. Wicked bounce, a really wicked bounce to have to cope with for Djibril Kamara. Taken quickly, and Manu Tuolangi crosses under the sticks. Stade caught napping. Manu, who else?
Well, what a start to this game. Stade Francais going through the phases, and then the turnover. Beetham with the intercept. Burns, I thought he put in the wrong option there with the kick. Let's just have a look at the handling as it goes awry. I think it's Slimani, isn't it, that throws the intercept. Then Burns put in the kick, but look at the wicked bounce that it gets. And not only does it get a bad bounce, but he gives the ball back. You must never let the players take the ball. He puts his arms up there and allows Leicester to take the quick one.
Well, the only way you can mitigate for Kamara is that he may have thought that the ball was out and it was a Stade throw. I'm surprised they didn't look, and they are going back to look now. Or his feet down.
I've got to now.
Or his feet down and he catches the ball.
Was it taken out by Stade?
We'll check it out. Can we see?
It's worth another look, I think, because it's very close on first viewing.
Hang on, I just had to call and check. Okay.
Derek Bevan is our television match official this afternoon. Animated conversation from Richard Cockerell. Keep a close eye on the footwork here.
Oh, it's so close.
Foot still up in the air when he catches the ball.
He actually catches the ball.
It is really close. His heel's close.
Yeah, hang on, Bev. The ball hasn't crossed the touchline. His other foot is off the ground. So if that's the case, he's taking it in.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay?
His foot is in the air.
Try awarded.
And that's where Nigel Owens is very, very good in terms of utilising the TMO. He watches the big screen himself, he makes his own mind up, and then you don't get any of that indecision.
Well, he makes a comment, and they work together, don't they, him and Derek? And Derek says, well, if you're okay with that, I am too. But Kamara should never give the ball back. You know, if you make a mistake like that, you hold on to it. You know, even cause a little mini scrap, but you certainly don't let them do that and take the ball.
Well, look at the joy. Look at the happiness of those inside Welford Road. Manu Tuolangi back to somewhere near his barnstorming best. A brace against Gloucester, which really helped them back from a perilous position. And an early one here to get the Tigers up and running. And now they're beginning to work the Stade pack. French ball. Dupuis, Parise. Have to keep him on a very short leash this afternoon. Stain for Jonathan Danty. We saw the damage he can cause in the Six Nations, but he's been robbed of the ball. And this is Youngs. Tigers playing heads-up rugby these days under Aaron Major, always looking for the possibilities on the counter-attack. Off turnover ball, McCaffrey, Tuilagi still looking to get the ball away. Good contest on the ground, and Stad have done just enough, I think, by the looks of things.
Oh, it's a great turnover from Stad. Tuilagi places the ball, and we talked about that bat on the shoulders with Brian before kick-off. That's not so great though, is it, from Stad?
Well, I think it's safe to say that Jibril Kamara's job at fullback is probably secure, and that he won't be moving to number 9 anytime soon. Tigers have the ball.
Yeah, look at this work of the breakdown. Really, really effective. Just get nice and low. Tuilagi's got no support at all there, and a nice turnover. But unfortunately, when you make turnovers, you've got to exploit the opportunities, not by making a mistake like that.
Mornay Steyn preferred to Jules Plisson at number 10, and Lions fans will of course remember him for forever. From 2009, that monstrous kick that sealed the series for South Africa, that brilliant series.
Crouch.
So scrum time.
Bind.
Some heavyweight meetings here, not least between Marcos Ajertza and Rabah Slimani.
Let's have a look at this. Both sides faring pretty well at the scrum. Can't say much has gone right for Stade Francais domestically this season, but there's Dan Cole had his moments during the Six Nations where he seemed to get penalised a fair bit. He's just got a bit of claret on the top of his head.
A little bit of treatment required. Oz.
I just think Stad are being very cute at the breakdown and at restarts. If you see this one, you watch it as Leicester jump, it's a real nice take, but instead of just driving in, they go round the far side and they're allowed to come in right on the ball and clamp, and that ultimately leads to the turnover. They're doing that on numerous breakdowns, being very quick, very clever. And as Brian and Lowell said before the game, Nigel Owens likes to referee the game, not always exactly to the point of the law, and he lets the game flow. It's good to see, but it also enables you to push that to the nth degree.
He's been in charge of some very free-flowing test matches and club matches over the years, hasn't he, Nigel Owens? And generally, the games are more watchable as a result of him being in charge. Dan Cole has been patched up.
Yeah, just think what it has to highlight is the accuracy of both sets of players when they approach the breakdown, when they approach the tackler. They've got to make sure they get enough numbers there.
I watched Leicester in the week doing a lot of preparation. They did a lot of stuff with Freddie Burns moving right and left very, very late, with runners either side of him. Obviously trying to work on the fact that the French don't always defend hard on the inside. And yet again, we probably won't get to see that because the forwards will just keep pushing against each other.
Okay, be patient, there's only 5 minutes gone.
Yeah, first penalty goes against that man, Marcus Ajertza, just got caught hitting down, and as a result the scrum collapsed and Nigel Owens penalises him.
Steyn puts Stad in position just outside the 22. Stad, reigning French champions, but 11 years since they reached the last 4 of top-flight European competition. They've lost all 4 of their away quarterfinals in the European Cup. Here's Jonathan Danty slipping through the tackle of Freddie Burns, setting up nice field position, and Leicester this time penalised for not rolling away.
Tackle away, please, 12.
Yeah, again, something that Nigel is very hot about, particularly early on in the game. It just sets the tone for the breakdown. Tackler not rolling away. Really nice ball off the line out from Sergio Parise. And look at this as a pass from Dupuis to Dante. Hits him flat. I mean, Freddie Burns has hardly got time to set himself for the tackle, and Dante's already over the advantage line.
A couple of early penalties against the Tigers, and this should be easy pickings for Mornay Steyn. Oof. In off.
Well, I was watching Monet Steyn kick in the warm-up. He's only been 69% so far this season, not the best kicking average, and he missed every single kick in the warm-up. He didn't get one. I can't think that is overly good for your confidence.
No.
But you'd expect your first penalty in front of the post to really boost that.
I think there'll be a lot of Lions fans who were wishing he was only kicking at 69% back in 2009 as well. The series might have been a little different then. Here's Dupuis. Played a key role in their run to the final in 2009 here, Leicester. One a little aimless. And Thacker trying to disrupt. It's been flung wide and then intercepted, and the knock-on initially.
Yeah, just seeing the strength of that wind. Just Dupuis just puts the ball up, didn't make a great contact with it, but just hung up there in the wind. A little bit deceptive for both sets of players, and rather fortuitously for Stade. Leicester knock it on.
Yeah, scrum half in the Heineken Cup final against Leinster back in 09. Julien Dupuis, a match-winning try against Bath in the quarterfinals that year as well. So we'll be looking forward to catching up with a few old mates.
Bind! Set!
Under pressure.
Time out. Keep your bind up high. Hey, excuse me. I think you need to start complaining and start scrummaging. Either keep the scrum off or you won't take any further part in this game. Is that clear? Hit it up like I asked you before the game. Get your bind up and get it long and keep it there.
It's encouraging to hear the law being laid down early. Try and spare us a handful of collapses at least.
Well, it gives a lecture to both players, which is good because one doesn't feel left out.
Bind! Set!
That looks a little more solid, and Stade have got a nice nudge here. And they've won the penalty as a result.
Well, Marcus Ayerza is a fantastic loose head, but Slimani's really got he's got his work cut out today. Slimani gets a nice high bind, and Ayerza just turns in, and after that, Stade Francais going forward.
Stays in all the time, okay? Make sure your number 2 stays in the scrum.
Stade back inside the Tigers half, Austin.
Well, just looking back from the previous line out, and Freddie Burns defensively gets carried a lot. So normally, there he is defensively out in that channel. Normally he swaps with Ben Youngs. Leicester have been hiding him in the 5 metre so he doesn't get carried. You watch what Dante does to him. Normally you should hit him, stop him dead there, but he gets into the outside, and that means Manu has to step in, and also O'Connor. It leads to a penalty there for Stade, but that could lead to more problems.
Away it comes. Dumaru is on the ball, bustling his way over beyond the 10-metre line. O'Connor is in there, snaffling possession, but illegally, says Nigel Owens.
Mistiming, Ruck had just beaten you. Ruck had just beaten you.
Yeah, no good arguing with him. The Ruck had just beaten you, very clear. If he gets in there a split second earlier, O'Connor, he's able to force the turnover, no problem. Nigel Owens thought about it for a second, did he do that legally? Just have a look at this. Oh, it's very, very close, isn't it? He just thinks about blowing the whistle and then decides that the Ruck had just beaten him.
In. Don't stand up looking for the penalty, stay in. If you stand up...
It's confusing that for a player a lot of the time, because even though the Ruck's beaten you, you're part of the Ruck, so you feel like you've already got your hands on the ball. It may have just slightly disconnected from it as the Ruck got carried through with momentum.
Well, the post is not helping him this time. Very much the opposite. Burns has given that a really big thump. That's a huge kick from Burns.
Yeah, that is a great clearance kick from Freddie Burns, but that is a poor miss for a player like Steyn's ability. You know, Stade Francais can ill afford to be throwing away the opportunities that they've got. They've gone behind early with the converted try. That's a perfect example of what they need to get themselves back in the game.
Well, we spoke about the half-backs not getting much game time together, and that's one of the things, particularly if you're kicking for goal, that you miss. It's just a continuity of your own confidence.
Yep, the fluency just hasn't been there at half-back, consistency of selection. Will Genia has been sidelined for a long time as well for them. They were probably expecting he and Steyn to be the mainstay at 9 and 10 this season. They've only played together once. Gonover under this one. That's gone forwards from the winger, and here are chances for Stade. Doumerou flings it wide. Onwards they go. Camara on the wide outside. Dupuis. Ross. Threatening hard now. Pyle. Rangy carrier. Tackled well by Barrow. Steyn. Danty. Used as the battering ram. And the penalty is Leicester's. Holding on.
Yeah, there we go. It talks about the body heights and the shoulder positions, and player Dante doesn't agree with it. Neither does the coach. But look at this. Flat on the gain line. A couple of the guys in there. Fitzgerald's over the top. He's on his feet. You've got to clear him out.
And again, Burns offers the relief. Mixing and matching a little bit with Owen Williams. Williams started in the 10 shirt last week. Burns a run of games before that. Good options both for Richard Cockerell.
Good night, going well, Ben.
Chance as well for Freddie Burns to try to force his way back into the England picture. Eddie Jones here today watching on.
Gone back, play on.
Tardiest for Youngs to cope with. Thacker does the clearing job. Ajurza.
It's a ruck!
Yeah, players calling for the maul. Nigel Owens very much calling a ruck, and this is McCaffrey. There goes Beetham. Tate bursting back infield. Good surge from Matt Tate, restored to fullback this week. Thacker. Burns, flat ball for Ajurza, who is levelled by Ross. But the offside line was strayed upon. And a chance of points here for the Leicester Tigers.
I'd like to have a look at that again, because the pass out the back by Thacker just forces Leicester so far back. Maybe it's the first couple on the inside close to the ruck, but nothing wrong with that hit. Midfield. Just thought if you put the ball out the back, you've got to do it a little bit flatter than Leicester did there.
Yeah, and they've thrown those wide passes in recent weeks, which have led to intercepts and tries and turnovers. No doubt Richard Cockerell and Aaron Major will have spoken about that during the week, about tighten it up, particularly when you've got a lead. Build a score, which is what they're looking to do now.
Oh, where Steyn misses, Burns scores. And the Tigers with a 7-point buffer now. Taking their opportunities, taking their points on offer. Building their way into a position of some strength.
Yeah, it's about being clinical, Ali, isn't it? They've put the kick in behind, took the short line out, try.
Bring them down!
And really spent a huge amount of time down in Stade Francais' half, but they come away with more points.
Stay back!
Youngs has gone a little bit further than he would have liked. A bit of a mix-up between Parise and Camara. But the skipper takes control, as he tends to do. Lacafia trying a win over the Tigers in January. And that again held up in the wind.
They are an advantage.
It's going to fall for Stade, but they are on the back foot here with Tigers pressing defensively. Steyn trying to dig that in behind Nicky Gonover.
That's a nice kick from Steyn. Just found that little bit of space there.
Stay green!
A little bit more hurried than they would have liked, but that is a calm clearance from Tate, taken quickly by Camara.
He was in touch, he was onside, play on, outside the 10.
Steyn again. Again, the ball stalls a little. And Burns just can't quite cling on to it. It's gone forwards. So nearly a stellar take. Oz.
Well, really nice interchange from Leicester, kicking game, but one of the areas they have got to be careful at, this is where they're strong defensively. They get their tight five all defending together in a straight line. Watch how quickly they go up and take the space, but they're also taking the space at equal speed on the outside, which makes them really vulnerable to any side that can get outside the 13 channel. It's where they've conceded a lot of tries this season. Transition zone between a slow defender coming forward and a fast defender opens a gap. And Stad currently haven't seen it yet, but I think they might in the end.
Yeah, we saw it yesterday, didn't we, with Exeter and Was. Exeter really sharp, first 4 defenders out the blocks, and as they started to fatigue, the little passes out the back ultimately cost them the game.
So the ball finally emerging from one of our scrums, and the ball is loose, and Burns is on top of it. Dragged down by Dumaru. Quickly recycled by O'Connor, who keeps it alive, but it's been knocked forwards. And that is an agonising decision.
Well, I tell you what, Lacazette has got his side out of serious trouble there. More importantly, got Steyn out of trouble. Let's just have a look at, was his breakdown in communication? Just wasn't there, was it, the pass? Very sloppy, nearly cost Stade Francais dearly.
It's much better, let's keep doing that now, okay? Keep that up. Better, good, keep it going.
Mornay Steyn currently looks like he's on a training run.
When you go down, you could be in trouble, okay?
50%. You can't run that first ball carrier at 50% and expect defences not to come onto you.
Crouch!
South Africa's most capped fly
Bind!
half.
Set!
Huge experience, but lacking the fluency today so far. Good scrummaging here from Stad, and then a recovery of sorts from the Tigers, but the decision has gone the French way.
Yeah, most things going Leicester Tigers' way the first 19 minutes of this match, but one area that's not going their way, the scrum.
Started driving forward, running round.
That's 3 penalties to 0 now in favour of Stad, and most of them against Marcus Ayerza. Bit of thinking to do for the front row.
Better from Steyn that time.
Back 5, don't run round.
Stad noticeably
Back 5, you're running
taking a little while to regroup and head over to their position.
There's no need to say the numbers, I'll give you time to get them.
Meeting
That's
under
it.
Sergio Parisse, who's actually only started 5 games in the top 14 this season, of course away with Italy a fair bit. And claiming the line-out ball. Steyn again. Danty at pace, well tackled by Tuolangi. Burns contributing as well. Dumaru, Parisse, Bonfils. Good work from Veyanu. Dumaru again.
Move, Green!
Steyn. Ross. Plenty of Leicester men there to welcome him. Quick ball though, and Parisse heading into Tuolangi. Danty, hard man to bring down, shuffling sideways and then bursting forwards. Pyle, cut down low by Mike Fitzgerald. Better continuity here from Stad, but Tigers competing hard on the ground.
Oh, Brendan O'Connor was so close to the turnover there. Just lost his feet at a crucial time.
Move!
Ball there to be played. And the boot of Tuolangi causing all sorts of bother for Stad. This is Naethalevu. He's isolated. Angelo Owens being pretty lenient at that breakdown. Certainly that's the view of 98% of the crowd here.
Well, he got himself in a really good position so he could actually see the ball on the floor.
I think Danty can see the ball on the floor. He dived in from the side over the top of the ball. Right in front of Nigel Owens.
That's a testing kick from Tate. It might just run a little too far. Too much from Matthew Tate. They're going to head all the way back to the Tigers 22.
Yeah, once again, all started from that Stade Francais line-out where they're using Dante to really good effect, getting him straight over the gain line. As Tuolangi just comes through, kicks the ball, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's legal.
You watch Dante here, comes in from the side, straight round the side onto the turnover,
Once you go off
brings
your
it
feet,
back.
you let it go.
Can't see many Stad players on their feet at that ruck. That looks like a penalty to Leicester. I'm sure the non-Leicester supporters are thinking I'm being slightly biased in my opinion of that, but it's the right opinion.
Your opinion's always the right opinion, isn't it, Austin?
Yeah.
The space, okay?
Well, that's the nature of the opinion, isn't it, Ali? That's why you have it. Otherwise, you just follow what someone else says.
Well, I don't know, you've got enough of them.
What's the matter? No, they're fine. You stay down and get in, please.
Now, the last scrum did produce the ball. The first couple didn't.
Yeah, let's see if Leicester Tigers could show a picture that changes Nigel Owen's opinion of what's going on.
Keep the space off now. Crouch! Bind! Set!
Yeah, Nigel Owen's not interested in blowing the whistle. Nath Alevu in off his wing, straight into Burns. Dupuy, Parise, trying to change the point of attack. It's driven on now by Floncart.
Release!
French international lock forward. Dupuy. There's not a huge amount of communication from Stad at the moment. Everybody operating in ones and twos. Dupuy breaks away. Stein shut down early. Floncart. And they're just not working together here, the French side. Leicester disrupting, harrying, hassling, but giving up the penalty.
From the side!
Slightly ironic cheers from the Welford Road faithful, having seen Dante at the last breakdown going in at the side and then penalised Leicester for also doing the same.
Time out a minute, time out. Excuse me, you don't come on here asking for anything. You bring the tea on and that is it.
It's Brendan O'Connor.
Time is off.
So trying really hard, Brendan O'Connor, both with the breakdown and whether it's trying to get in there and secure the ball, but on that occasion, two or three times he's fallen foul of Nigel Owens.
Yeah, I think there could be a few players falling foul of Nigel Owens and the officials coming up. Ben Youngs took a few little knocks to the head at the previous ruck and then got the red mist.
Just to let you know as well, okay?
And then the occasional lift in the
You
tackle.
went to tackle him, but your player was going to the ground at the same time, so made it look much worse than it was. There was nothing more in it, okay? Just a tackle because your player was going to the ground. I did see it, and I'm happy to play on with it, okay? So I'm just letting you know. Back you go. Thank you.
That's first-class refereeing. Because so easily you could go to the TMO with this tackle and you'd look at it from a different angle, not the angle that the ref sees, and it looks so much worse. It looks like a tip tackle, but Nigel Owens has handled it straight away.
Yeah, yes.
But two rucks before, Ben Youngs took a bit of a punch in the back of the head, got the red mist, stood up and then took it out with two big hits.
That's a little bit more like it for Morné Steyn. Back within touching distance. And some happy Parisian fans.
Yeah, I mean, it's, what is it, 73% possession for Stad. So they need to get some points for all that effort, 69. Just giving them a few more percent, always trying to do that.
High from Burns, Floncart safely underneath it. Mike Fitzgerald holding him up nicely. Doughty heading for McCaffrey. Dupuy sends it safely away.
Just notice one tactic from Leicester, it's just to put some pressure through the middle of that ruck and try and make it as uncomfortable as possible for Dupuy. Often scrum halves just looking for an armchair there.
Okay.
A couple of times they've had a bit of success either getting a boot through the middle or just counter-rucking.
Well, they know him very well. They know how dangerous he is when he's got time to make a decision and pick a pass. You put pressure on him and just want to get the ball away from there.
Nice ball for Youngs to work with here. He runs into Pyle across the 10-metre line.
No!
Cole from a standing start.
Hughes.
No momentum gained really with static ball carrier. A little bit better from Fitzgerald, the Kiwi. Burns to Alangi. Taking 2 to bring him down. Most phases that Leicester have been through so far this afternoon. Burns again, flings it wide. McCaffrey opening it up for Gonover. Forwards.
Yeah, the crowd don't like it, but it was forwards. Difficult in these conditions. Really nice pass for Burns, dangerous pass. I thought there was an opportunity for an intercept there. Richard Cockrell shaking his head, thinking, do we really need to be doing that? Blind passes from Ayerza. Just saw that Parise had stepped in, so he put a bit of loft on it.
I think Parise was eyeing up the defender rather than looking at the ball, wasn't he?
No, they don't. They do, I deal with it. If they will, I will deal with it. If I say Hughes, it goes.
7 years since the Tigers' last European semi-final. Twice champions, of course, back in 2001, 2002. High time in their own minds that they were back at the top of the tree.
Ball is out!
Ball is out and it's been stolen. Onwards go Leicester, and Lacafia has picked that off from Ben Youngs.
He's made a burglary. He's made amends, isn't he? Because he was the one that let the ball slip out the side of the scrum.
Jono Ross drives it up again. Dupuis looking for territory.
This is going to hang.
Good from Gonover, really good from Gonover. Afolabi clambering his way out of the way. Cole again, stationary.
Release!
And held by Lacafia. And there's the penalty. Not working hard enough to move out of the way.
Release quicker and get up to the quicker.
Yeah, he's consistent, is Nigel Owens.
Release, not quicker.
Lacafia is trying to remonstrate with it. It wasn't Lacafia, beg your pardon.
It's the big Georgian prop, Giovanni.
Yeah, Giovanni is remonstrating, saying, I'm trying to get away, and Nigel Owens said, no, you're not quick enough, let's have another look at it. He falls the wrong side. It's quite easy for him to get out the side there. He's not being held in by a leg.
Outside, George, are you?
The upshot is
Outside.
Tigers line out
Outside.
just outside the 22. Fabulous noise. Milford Road comes alive on occasions like this. Tigers poised nicely here. Kitchener with the line-out ball. Starts standing off.
Release now! Release now!
To Alangi. 3 men to meet him.
He's gone.
Fitzgerald. Youngs to the left, Burns digs it over the top. Gonover looking to try and latch onto this one, and it's been shadowed all the way by Naya Falevu.
Yeah,
Just a little bit too much on it, but nevertheless, right in the money zone.
yeah, look at that. You can see that the intentions of what he's trying to do. Always dangerous to let the ball bounce, isn't it? Still now able to put pressure on this Stade Francais line out. They've got to get their throwing absolutely spot on.
Maybe in the way here.
But very pressed actually with Stade Francais' defence round the corner. You can see them muscling up on Tuilangi there, 3 men to stop him, but despite their domestic woes, they've certainly come here with a game plan, and they're working very hard to stay in this match.
No, settle a bit now.
That's Jono Ross receiving the treatment. South African former Bulls player. A short spell with Sarries, actually. Do you think they're using enough tape, Lol? It's going to be like an Egyptian mummy suit.
If I'm happy the tackler has gone,
They've always had a funny way of taping people, the French. I never quite understood it.
It won't happen if you look for it. If he's in the way, rest assured I'll deal with it. Okay.
That's an installation by the time it's finished.
Oz.
Well, just looking back at that kick
5 metres
from Freddie Burns, just got to be a little bit more precise, because Leicester are obviously, we'll take a look at it again in a bit, but Leicester are obviously trying to isolate Dupuis, who's standing out in the wide channel quite a lot defensively.
Bonfils finds Pyle. Al-Kafir just trying to buy an extra few metres or two. Just to give Dupuy a better angle, perhaps. That hasn't found touch. It's found Goneva, who loves these one-on-one situations, and he's dancing past Bonfils, and he's heading for the try line. Quick ball, Thacker, Burns, Cole. Men streaming to the right, Burns heads to the left. Barrow now.
Release!
Stagg looking to snaffle it, but it's there again for Youngs. Kitchener can't hold on to it. And the momentum just seems to have stalled.
Well, they've recovered really well, Stad there, and pushed Leicester back to the 22.
Beetham, Goneva ducks back infield and heads towards the posts. Tigers have their second, the flat cutout pass, and Nicky Goneva, well, he was always going to finish from there.
Well, I have to say, Stade Francais have only got themselves to blame. It started with that man Goneva from the Dupuy box kick. Didn't feel like Julien Dupuy, for a man of his experience, got anywhere near enough blockers on the far side, and the ball in this breeze is going to hang up in the air. And they just got their defence all wrong there. Too many players stepped in and just left Goneva wide open on the outside. It's well taken by the winger, but poor couple of phases from Stade Francais.
Easy for Burns. Leicester 17, Stade 6, and Goneva on a hot streak, 5 and 5.
It's all Beetham, it's all Beetham. Look how far away he is. He knows what he wants to do. He wants to get to the outside man. He wants to take the last man to step in, which will create the channel and the width on the outside. He bides his time, treads water, and then he ignores the two defenders in front of him and just eyeballs Nyatheva on the outside. Creates the try for Goneva. Well played, Beetham.
Yeah, it is well played, Beetham. But Nyatheva has to understand that he can't step in there. He can leave Aertsu, who hasn't quite got the pace. He's left Goneva literally unmarked.
Freddie Burns. And using the wind to very good effect.
Just quite surprised, Austin, originally, a couple of plays before that, Dupuy. You know, you need to get blockers in place. You know that there's a breeze. If you're going to put the box kick up, they seem to rush the exit out of their own 22 and sort of invited the pressure from Leicester on.
Well, they're at 6s and 7s, aren't they, in terms of their framework, their structure, their decision-making. It must be hugely frustrating, the amount of talent they've got in the side. It's not difficult to put these things in place.
Yeah, just seem to be lacking in that degree of telepathy.
And that's a classic Nigel Owens. You know, that wasn't straight by any means, but as there was no Leicester...
Intercept. Burns is away. Try number 3. And the Champions Cup semi-finals hoving into view. Hammer blow for Stade.
Well,
2 tries in as many minutes, and Freddie Burns, a live wire. Richard Cockerell's never seen anything so entertaining.
Well, it's beyond his own imagination, really. 3 tries in the first half already. And talk about self-destructing, Stade Francais, just compounding their problems. Look at Steyn. Austin said he was on a training run. He may well find he's on a training run for the rest of the season if he plays any more like that.
It's a prime example of reading the play that you've seen so many times, either on the video or in the warm-up. Aaron Major was watching none of Leicester's warm-up, but all of Stade's, and it's all that play from Steyn into Nyatheva. And all Freddie Burns is looking at is Nyatheva. And if he can get on the inside shoulder of him, he gets on the inside shoulder. If he can't, he goes for the ball. There he is. He's not bothered about Steyn because he's not attacking him, he's treading water. He reads the play perfectly and goes straight through the middle.
Yeah, conversely, if you're a player like Steyn and you see Freddie Burns there, you know, he's not a player who's going to step in for the tackle. You know, if you're Steyn, why don't you show and actually attack the space that Burns has just left?
He hasn't attacked anything all day. Probably his breakfast, but that's about it.
Well, it's proving a good day out for Freddie Burns. 14 points already out of the Tigers' 24. And it looks as if Monsieur Flancard is in trouble with that left eye of his. So a replacement for Stade in the form of Paul Gabriag.
It's going to be a real test of this Stade Francais side. Not only to try and win this game, but actually to make the scoreline look respectable now, because you've got to say that Leicester Tigers will probably be feeling that there's more opportunities here. A lot of it's been down to the making of Stade Francais.
Well, they wanted to draw the sting early, didn't they, Leicester? Just to get on top of a side already short on confidence. Youngs has his kick charge down. He's got a second bite at it, and he's opening up. And here's Tate with Beetham outside him. Gonover cutting back against the grain. Tackled by Dumarou. Burns.
Stay, Leicester, stay!
Stayed. And the safety first.
Well, that's worked out perfectly for Leicester. Originally the kick charged down from Ben Youngs. Just had to do a little bit of movement in and around, but nice kick from Tate, got distance on it, and they get the possession now just inside the Stade Francais half.
So I think it's fair to say Leicester getting an awful lot more out of their carrying. 158 metres for 30 carries. Stade struggling to really get across the gain line in any meaningful fashion. Fitzgerald with the line-out ball, and again Stade just standing off. And Bonfils searching for the ball, but Dan Cole has it, and he's been driven onwards by Ajertza. Youngs, Tuolangi. Tigers full of purpose. 3 tries in the bank already. Burns enjoying himself. Youngs looking for Ajertza, who perhaps wasn't quite as ready for that as he might have been.
Let it go, Leicester!
And they've lost the ball.
Yeah, just Ajertza wasn't ready for that, and Stade Francais going forward onto the ball. And Nigel Owens again penalising for not releasing.
Release the ball, turn over ball.
Keep the intensity up here, Leicester. We saw last night at the Stoop of Harlequins thought they had the job done in the Challenge Cup against London Irish, who came piling back at them. Stade more than capable of a rear guard from here.
Yeah, just
time off.
Slight misunderstanding between Youngs. He goes round the corner, hoping Ajertza will just come on the little pop ball, shoulder ball outside. Ajertza actually comes on a line a bit closer to him, and the ball goes to ground. But Stade Francais really, you feel, under that man Parise, got to take some opportunity from this line out.
Off, boys, please.
They just don't seem to have the structure you need to go through the phases. You know, they'll use Dante over the gain line off this line out. Forwards coming around the corner. It's got to have patience and structure.
Parise, the go-to man. Ajertza trying to stem the flow. There's the ball. It's there for Leicester and Fitzgerald and Youngs. And the counter is on. And Tuolangi is away. Tate couldn't cling on. Penalty, Stade.
Well, listen, we celebrate Tuolangi a lot.
Matthew, and quick ball, you prevented the advantage by holding on, let it go.
Just felt in that instance, Tuolangi could have given the ball earlier and then just followed his pass. He was trying to straighten it up, but the Stade Francais defence just sort of turned sideways and drifted out. And in the end, they neither did one thing nor the other.
Well, he knows exactly what he was trying to do, but when he's running across like that, you need other players to make more decisive angles on him. He had the opportunity to give the ball earlier to Beetham. That was probably a little bit too early before the outside defence had been stretched. And then eventually when Tate gets it, it's still a bit of a soft run. Had it a harder line, he goes through.
Line out, ball stolen.
Back, last feet.
First steal of the match. And Youngs clears it away. How Stade needed something from that with 90 seconds to go in this first half.
Yeah, they do. They got one more chance, but obviously it's a little bit further away. Kitchener just picks it off. been working really well in this Leicester line-out, all a bit too predictable, and you have to say massively underthrown. Supposed to be for Jonathan Ross.
Time off, time off, time off.
Graham Kitchener missed the early part of the season with rib trouble.
But listen, lads, please, thank you. If you want the numbers, you must give them time as well to get the numbers. You cannot come in slow and then expect the numbers, okay? Whether you tell me makes no difference. They need to have time. Time on.
Rather more secure from Stad. And they need to make this pay on the scoreboard. Otherwise the match might well just drift away from them. Parise furious at the disruption caused by Leicester. Looks like the Wild West in there. It's Tigers' ball.
Well, there's no use remonstrating with the referee. Oh, it's all kicking off a little bit. There's a bit of frustration creeping in. Let's just have a look at this line-out drive again when it gets set up. I think it's Harry Thacker that comes round. And Parise is insisting to Nigel Owens that he's come round illegally. They can't dislodge him after that. And look at that, it's Leicester who might finish this first half. But it's Harry Thacker's in there. He's there legally initially, and as this shears round the corner, just comes in and gets his arms on the ball, clamped in. Probably because he's under 6 foot, the referee doesn't spot him. Really good work from Thacker, and then forces the turnover.
Just listen, please. They are quite clear from the back of them all. If I hear you pointing at the screen or complaining for decisions again, I will penalise you. Is that clear? Get on with your game.
Very clear.
Okay.
Yeah, he's clear, isn't he? He's always clear, Nigel Owens. And that one's gone awry from Leicester, just when they might have finished this first half with a flourish. Dupuis to Ross. Danty taking on Tuolangi. Parise clears. Thacker with the tackle.
Problem is that Stade Francais got a chance their arm now, haven't they? Because of what's happened on the scoreboard.
Dupuis. Oh, Mornay Stone again. Very nearly handing another one on a plate to Burns. And it's gone forwards. And that will be the final intervention of a very entertaining first 40 minutes. Of 40 minutes of bristling intent from the Tigers. 3 tries, Tuolangi, Gonover and Burns.
Good night, good night.
They have 1 foot in the semi-finals of the Champions Cup. Job half done. And they need a big turnaround in fortunes if they'd had any chance of making the last 4 from here. And that's not really the way to start.
I tell you, I can't believe he's come out for the second half and not been given the shepherd's crook. He's got to get him off the field.
You've got the French number 10 sitting on the bench.
I mean, you know, first thing he does is a mistake. You can see the guy's confidence is gone. No matter how good he was or is.
Jules Plisson waiting patiently. Unused thus far. That is not Jules Plisson, that is Alexandre Flancard, who is not going to be playing any further part in the match. Paul Gabriag is into the second row, and he'll remain there for the rest of this fixture.
Crouch!
I mean, you know, Leicester are incredibly professional. They'll say that they'll wait till 10, 15 minutes into this half. They want to get another try on the board before they'll start to think this game is truly won. But with Northampton next weekend,
so it's a loose ball which Stade are looking to pounce on here, and McCaffrey's got to be careful. Drops on it with Dumarou bearing down on him. Now has he clung onto that for a fraction too long? Has the ball been stolen? It has. Stade have it, and here they come, and the intercept from Gonover, who sets off in the other direction, but the penalty is awarded.
Offside. Not behind the Heimer's foot.
Yeah, Gonover penalised for going in offside, but
foot, lads, offside.
Came from the kick through earlier on. Let's just have another look at this. You could just see, just goes a fraction early. Probably was never behind the back foot originally.
He's been in electrifying form recently. Nicky Gonover heading for Newcastle next season, which will be a disappointment to many of those here today.
Pressure off.
But of course they're getting a replacement who is reasonable.
Bind.
JP Peterson will be arriving.
Well, this is the 4th or 5th time that Stad have had a good look at the Leicester line.
Well, the one area of dominance they have had fairly consistently has been the scrum.
Yeah.
And another penalty
Just drop to your
forthcoming.
knees.
That's number 4.
Yeah, it's all of it.
Again, it's
Drop to your
against
knees.
Marcus Iurtzel going to his knees. He's having a tough day today against an international in Slimani.
Time out.
There's no doubt that Stad are going to go for the scrum again here, time and time again. Like you said, I think Iurtzel had given away most penalties by a prop in the group
Time will come on
stages.
when I call the crowd.
9, 3 today, so he's under a lot of pressure.
Keep the pressure
Not all
off,
his fault.
please.
Harry Thacker's not the biggest of scrummagers, but you get a lot more from him around the field.
Yeah, and you tend to put your stronger second row on the tight head side as well, so he kind of gets a double whammy there,
Bind.
having to hold it up on his own.
Set.
But see how he gets on now. You've got to feel that even though it's early days in this second half, Stad have got to come away. That looks a good dominant scrum.
Parise picks up, releases Dupuis. Julien Dupuis against his former club, putting Stad back in the picture, giving them some kind of hope after a pretty shambolic opening 40 minutes. The scrum half has given them a lifeline.
He certainly has, and it's the 2 men. Look at this from Parise. Thinks about the offload, but doesn't. He just delays the pass, which holds the defence. Everyone had gone through on Lacafia thinking he would get the pass from Parise, and it just puts a nice little deep one-handed offload to Julien Dupuis, who gets over.
And 2 more added by Mornay Staines, so 11 points the difference now. And Dupuis enjoying himself on his old stamping ground.
Yeah, the hole opened up. It's a really subtle offload from Parise, but it just held the defence for long enough.
Your number 1 needs to
And
stop
Stanford
this
say have a lifeline.
This is going down, and then if he continues, he may be leaving the field. Have a
Yeah,
look.
Dupuis shapes to put the long pass in, doesn't he? Ball in 2 hands. Freddie Burns shoots out the line.
Time on, good. Thank you.
Rest of the pack and inside defence are off their feet, and over he goes.
Ayatholebu, big Fijian winger. A great strike rate in European rugby. Hasn't seen an awful lot of the ball in any space so far this afternoon. This is Lacafia.
Tackler chose the wrong option.
Bonfils drives hard into McCaffrey. Stade puts up the high ball, but it's too long. Miles too long, really, and Tate's got plenty of options. And he's taking the first and most direct of them. Good burst from the fullback. Youngs to the short side. Goniver, nobody home! A second of the game for Nicky Goniver, and surely now the Tigers headed for the last 4. Where was the Stad defence?
Well, Parise got himself a little bit narrow and then didn't have the pace to make up on the outside. Give Goniver credit for holding his width on that touchline, but what did it all come from? Well, it came from a mistake from Steyn. You cannot kick that deep and allow missed tackles. That man Tate running onto it, you know, and then look at that. Parise just hasn't held his width on that far side. It's tucked in close to the ruck, and Goniver just opens his legs.
It's all by himself on the blind side, Parise, though. You can't cover everyone. If Parise steps out onto Goniver, Ben Youngs goes through, you end up with a 2-on-1. All stemmed from that kick from Steyn. Aimless kick, downfield. Didn't give anyone the opportunity to compete for the ball. Puts Tate on the front foot, gets in behind the Stad defence straight away. They're backing off. The defence loses its width. You can only defend one side, resulting in a try.
That's a superb conversion from Freddie Burns. 16 points to his gun. And Leicester taking firm control again. Once more, thanks to this man. Pinning his ears back. Tuolangi. For the most part, Stad have been tight on top of him, making sure he hasn't had any ground to get a head of steam up, but that's a little sloppy from the Tigers, and Lakafia can try to make it pay here.
Hands away, Leicester, advantage over.
Dupuy again, half a hole. Dumaru digs it out. Tigers on defensive duty here. Can't afford to slacken off. Parise will not give up the fight.
Release!
Tigers just doing their level best to slow things up here, but the pink shirts arriving in decent numbers. Parise, just enough of a show to buy himself a few metres. Closing in. Dupuy once more. Stein. Blocked.
Can't even get that bit right, poor old Stein. He gets...
Accidental.
He's coming on to the ball. And unfortunately for him, just
an
gets
accident. Scrum.
blocked before he gets over the line.
Dumaru knew as soon as he ran the line that he was going to end up in a tangle.
Nige, good call.
Oz.
Well, just looking back to the try and why Parise's left by himself, that's Nathalewa. The kick's gone too far, so he can't compete. He's out of position now, and because Tate gets in behind, he has to make the tackle. He finds himself then at the bottom of the ruck. Parise's only looking in, he's not looking up, he's not bringing anyone out with him, and tries to do all the work himself. What you would have seen is Nathalewa would have been on the outside in front of Gonover. You'd have been 2-on-2 on the blind side, and Ben Youngs wouldn't have even gone there. So that's the difference between a kick that is a good kick and is chased well, and a kick that is just hoofed down the field for no reason.
Seconds, keep the pressure off him, please. I don't want to be engaged. Keep the space.
But you have to take that opportunity. Ben Youngs saw it, Gonover saw it. None of the Stade Francais side did.
Time will come on and call Crouch.
So surely we're approaching that sort of time when Gonzalo Quesada will be considering his bench options.
Bind!
If he doesn't act soon, the game will be gone. It may have gone already, but scrum time at least is providing a crumb of comfort. Quite a lot of whistle there, but also quite a lot of ball coming Stad's way.
What you often find here, Lawrence, is most referees, weak referees, try and find a solution to get out of this sort of corner. They'll give a penalty, they'll just make a decision to get away from this pressurised situation. Nigel Owens isn't like that sort of referee. He's got the confidence to make a decision on the merit of what's going on here rather than the situation.
Yeah, you're right, and he's also got the confidence that if the scrum collapses and he doesn't feel it's a penalty that he needs to penalise, he'll make both sets of players just play the ball from the base of the scrum.
Exactly, but players know that. But with other referees, players will actually try and intimidate the referee into forcing a decision, forcing a penalty. Leicester are finding it really difficult to get out of this corner because of that.
Crouch! Bind! Set!
That's the modern day straight feed. Straight to the second row.
Hughes!
Youngs. He hasn't. He's got underneath that, hasn't he? And Vianu waits for him. But touch is found. I thought you worked on the box kicking with him the other day, Austin. Is that the fruit of your labours?
Exactly, mate. That's the result. Any other young scrum half around the country wants to completely mess up his game, give me a call. I'm free most of the time now.
Yeah, I know. You'll be freer than most. So Stad have to capitalise and find a way of making it count.
Once!
Where's the ball?
Ball form, scrum down, beautiful ball.
Tigers ball.
Yeah, very good work. Gets the approval of the Welford Road faithful. That man Dan Cole in the forefront of it.
Yes, but the one who stands in your number 9, he must make his mind in or out before I can penalise that. Clearly in or out, not afterwards.
He's having another frustrating day, isn't he, Sergio Parise? Had a few of those in the Six Nations with Italy.
Okay,
He's got to be careful, though, not to get on the wrong side of Nigel Owens. He's not the sort of ref that lets you speak to him like that.
Yeah, it's looking a very, very tall order. He's shaking his head. Very tall order for this Stade side to come back into the game. You felt they gave themselves a lifeline with the try they scored from Dupuis, but immediately cancelled out by Goneva.
McCaffrey wrestling with Dupuis. And in danger of losing the ball. They have secured it. Youngs again, that's more like it. Saint-Zel. Tackled by Thacker. A little bit of momentum for those in pink. John O'Ross, the target man this time. Steyn feeding it onwards to Naethalevu.
Release!
Dupuis, Slimani. This is Gabriel. Ross again. It's a nice offload away, and so nearly another one, but that's gone forwards from Bonfils. Just a little bit too elaborate from Lakafia. And Youngs dribbles it through. This could land for Vaianu. Forwards again from Saint-Zel, and the Tigers have the scrum.
Yeah, nice little kick through from Ben Youngs. And it's just been sort of typical of Stade Francais, really, right from the start. We know the way the French like to play, both domestically and internationally. They will chance their arm with the offloads, and when things are going well, they go brilliantly well and everything sticks, and when they're not going well and the confidence is low, you have a series of different turnovers like we've had today.
So changes are being made, and unsurprisingly, Morné Steyn is one that's heading for the touchline to be replaced by Jules Plisson. Started 4 out of the 5 games in the Six Nations for France, and Owen Williams is coming onto the field as well.
He must be clearly at number 9 or in for me to deal with the numbers, okay? If he is, then no problem, okay? They've asked for a line out, okay?
So it looks like Burns is going to make way. And we've also got Willem Alberts onto the pitch as well for Stade, which you could argue perhaps should have happened a little earlier, or even he should be starting. A man of his quality, his kind of power, ball-carrying presence. There's Willem Alberts.
Not difficult, really, to when you come into the game and you've got to really inject something into your team, and Freddie Burns will get a really good reception from the Tigers fans. Both his coaches have been very pleased. Let's hope that doesn't rule him out of contention for selection for next week. And it's just saying, as the Freddie roars ring round.
Well, that will be some comfort to Freddie Burns as he heads for the touchline. 16 points today, and another excellent performance. Took a little while to settle into things here, the Leicester way. Now very much part of the furniture.
You transfer the ball to the back, the liner is over, he comes round, the play is legal.
Yeah, a couple of things that
You transfer the ball to the back, he comes round, liner is over, it's legal.
A couple of things Stade can take away. I mean, you know, I think they'll end up getting beaten comfortably, but their work at the scrum and certainly their work defensively in the line-out's been really good as well. Certainly it won't help them get through today, but it's something small to hold on to. Just thinking back, Ali, about the options for that coaching staff. We talked about this 2 weeks, 7 days, defining Leicester's season. With them sort of cruising relatively comfortably, they can have sort of one eye on next week now, start to think about how they might use their bench, Austin, and who they might bring off, with one eye on that away game in the Premiership next week.
Well, they can also go into next week in the knowledge that even if they don't win next week, there's a good chance that they'll go through anyway. So, might be an opportunity now to give a 2-week rest to some of their key players.
Well, it's hard work for Parise. The Tigers scrum causing enough havoc for the knock-on.
Tell you what, I've been there many times before where you just feel like you're about to put your hands down on the ball and the second shove comes in from nowhere, and then suddenly you're trying to pick the ball out your second row's feet. He's never really got the ball anywhere near his own feet. It's always still in the second rows, and that's the danger when the shove comes on. And his frustrations continue this afternoon. There's a bit of talk about his contract, wasn't there? Whether he was going to stay at Stade Francais.
Crouch.
Look at that, you can't dispute his international call-ups, and 119.
Captain on 71 occasions in Italian colours, and of course he's had to very much carry his side through, isn't he? They are half the team without him.
They are, and I think the new coach, Conor O'Shea, now we could talk about that. He's been on the hotline to Sergio Parisse a couple of times and desperately wants to keep him playing for Italy.
Steady, both sides.
Conor O'Shea's the new Ireland coach.
Ireland coach. Comes in. Both sides.
When was that announced?
Both sides, all 6 of you.
He's a new Italian coach. Whoa.
Always amazes me how you entertain yourself, Austin.
Well, it's scrums, Ali. Someone's got to.
Certainly not entertaining anyone watching at home, that's for sure.
We've been here for 3 minutes waiting for the ball to come out so the talented people can do stuff. Unfortunately, what we got is the fat people pushing.
Well, that's a pretty good push from Stade Francais.
It's causing trouble here, and it's not the easiest of first touches for Owen Williams. Parisse's calling for a knock-on, and Nigel Owens is having none of it. In the meantime, Youngs is launching it skywards, and Beetham is chasing. Sanzel is gathering, and Sanzel is liking to look at this broken field, and Bonfils is there. Pile driver of a tackle from Williams. Willem Alberts bouncing off the defenders. Where has he been? Sitting on the bench all this time. Gabriag, another from the replacements bench. Plisson. Kamara gets it away nicely. This is Dumaru. Plisson smashed. Beetham with the hit this time. And the penalty as a result.
That's a brilliant tackle from Peter Beetham. Really good read. Plisson only been on a few minutes. Gets the pass, and Beetham's on him in a split second.
Carry on, please.
Steps in, makes a great hit, and he puts his head on the right-hand side. So Plisson, when he's transferring the ball, can't even get the ball away either, and they force the penalty turnover.
Touch not found. Kamara found. Parisse pops it up for Dumaru. Dupuis. Macafia. And forwards via the boots into touch.
Just to line up George or option? Off the foot, okay, line.
Yeah, the problem that Stade have got is because they're so far behind on the scoreboard, they're sort of forcing everything now. You've got to keep your patience, keep your structure. We saw two sides yesterday in Saracens and Wasps that had to come from behind, and what you have to have is composure and not panic. When you get the ball, you've got to go through your structures and your phases that you do in training and get yourself back in the game. And we're seeing Stade sort of slightly gambling a little bit and trying to panic, and that's not going to help them at all.
You have to have a little bit of belief as well, you would have thought, and that's lacking right now, having lost 5 of the last 6, hammered by Toulouse a fortnight ago. And not in the best of spirits, and it's showing here this afternoon. Williams, Tuolangi. Dragging Stade defenders with him. Caffrey.
Hands away!
And the ball spilt, but illegally.
Come on, Sergio, please. Play the ball back. That was a tackle.
I love it.
You or him, one of you. One of you in pink.
We're just starting to see Stade get tired, aren't we? Fatigued. You said there's a lot of injuries, a lot of guys coming back in for their first game. Dupuis is the prime example, and this Beetham tackle is a highlight of it. He's tired, so what he's doing is he's standing up and taking 2 or 3 steps every time he passes. That brings the defensive line forward and makes you able to make those tackles, as opposed to shift to the inside and beat the defender and create a try. And you're seeing that around the field. Guys taking shortcuts because they're getting really, really fatigued. And that's as much to do with the pace that Leicester have held within the game as it is to do with the fact that a lot of these Stade players haven't played for a number of weeks.
So first chance here for Owen Williams to contribute on the scoreboard. Started last week against Gloucester. It's not to be.
On back, play on, gone back.
Now then, what can they create from here? Sanzel. He's just started to get his hands on the ball a little bit more in this second half. Dupuis looking to work it quickly. Real dynamism in the carry. Plisson going himself. And then giving it up. Williams taking it in. And the Tigers pressing once more. Beetham. McCaffrey. Veyanu. Talusa Veyanu. Good tackle coming in from Sanzel, dislodging the ball in contact. Absolutely essential. This game now resembling a sevens operation as the ball is hoofed away by Pyle. Tate. Veyanu again. Look at the footwork. The offloading game is in good order too. O'Connor into the 22. Barnstorming run from O'Connor. Youngs searching for the holes. Quick hands from Ajurza. Williams beat them. Got him again. In they go. Mike Fitzgerald claims the try. And that has to be the one. It has to be the one that leads them into the semi-finals. For the first time in a very, very long time. 7 long years of waiting. Surely drawing to a close.
Well, that's the pick of all the tries scored today. What a beautiful piece of skill from Marcus Ajurza in the middle. We're giving him a bit of a pounding all day in terms of what he's done in the scrum. Takes the one that starts it off, gets away. This man Veyanu has been dangerous all season. Look at that lovely one-handed offload and the strength from O'Connor to slip out of the tackle. As Austin said, they're starting to fatigue. Look at this, soft hands from the prop. Beautiful, out the back door. Again, Beetham, who's been outstanding all day, throws a lovely long pass, and Gonover, rather unselfishly, gives it to Fitzgerald. Beautiful try.
Well, you want to see a team try, that's what it looks like. Receiving the ball, you're 15, makes a nice break, gets it to his winger, he offloads to one of the back row in a great supporting line. Good strength, quick recycle, a bit of indecision, and then a prop turns what wouldn't have been a try into 5 points. Great team try all round.
And twice the posters denied Owen Williams, but Mike Fitzgerald has his score. 3 of them this season, all of them in the Champions Cup. And Nicky Gonover, you mentioned how unselfish that was. Remember, he's on a hat-trick. Can't believe Austin Healey would have done that.
No, Austin definitely would have done, but just thinking about what made that try, one of those sort of rather large people, as Austin was calling them, who normally push and shove, produced that really wonderful piece of skill. So
now isn't it good seeing them do other stuff?
Yeah, there is talent in the front row.
Tate, McCaffrey. Ajurza. Wrapped up in the tackle by Willem Alberts. Williams finding space in there. Kamara chasing back. Is he going to roll a little bit too far?
I was going to say, just almost a lovely, perfectly weighted kick if it just sat up there, but he kicked to the post, which few people do these days. They always go for one side or the other, and found that little bit of space, and just in complete control now this game, Leicester.
Let's bring in Richard Cockrell, Director of Rugby with the Tigers. Richard, is it game over?
No, I don't think so. I think we just need to control the ball. We've played some great stuff and scored some fantastic tries. But you've just seen that first 15 minutes of the second half. error on error, and we put ourselves under a huge amount of pressure. So look, we're playing some great stuff. I'd like us to be a little bit more controlled at times, and control the game. It's a little bit too open for my liking at the moment.
And you've spoken in the past, haven't you, this season, of having those little spells, those little moments where the concentration isn't there. We only have to look back last week to Gloucester with the 3 tries in 9 minutes or whatever. You fear those moments still.
Oh, of course. Well, look, we started the second half. We had a midfield scrum. We go to the left-hand side. We drop the ball, put ourselves under pressure. We then give them a try. We then score, and we can't. Ben Youngs can't pass to Coley, and we end up under pressure again. So look, Stad a good enough side to score points. So we want to make sure that although it's a healthy score, you concede next, and you're under pressure again.
And just briefly, Richard, the prognosis, recent as it may be, on Freddie Burns, how bad do we think that might be?
He's just got cramp in his calf, so look, we've got a great replacement in Owen, who's a great footballer, so comfortable with him on the field.
Thanks for your time, Richard.
Thanks.
Play on, tackle made.
Graham Kitchener carrying it up beyond halfway, and then called back.
On Green.
A little knock on, and Stad have a chance, but they are running out of time fast. Marko Sajertza making way for Logo Milopola while we were having a word with Richard Cockerell.
Yeah, it's good to hear. Good to hear that Freddie Burns is just cramp. Looked in a bit of pain when he came off the field, but he'd be fine. There's another player who looks like he's got a bit of cramp as well there.
Well, he's had his injury troubles, Freddie Burns, this season. They both have the 10s, both with broken jaws at different moments.
Same as the last few boys. Here we go. Come on.
With any luck, that'll be a very short-term discomfort.
Leicester number 8, please. Leicester 8.
Tom Croft onto the field. Lachlan McCaffrey's put in another big shift. Missed only 4 games all season, and has been key to some outstanding performances, both home and away for the Tigers. Having joined from London Welsh, he's found a place in Leicester hearts very quickly.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with McCaffrey all season. He's a player in the Leicester mould. You know, he's got an engine on him. He works tirelessly for the team. He's brave, and he's got a fair bit of skill to add to that. Really positive contribution.
Just the sort of scenario for Tom Croft, isn't it? 17 minutes to play, game broken up. Plisson sending it wide for Dumairu, running hard at Beetham. Tuolangi joins in with the tackle. Dupuy, oh dear.
There we go, the head goes down, the cheeks get puffed out. It's not Julian Dupuy's afternoon. It's not his team's afternoon. Just goes to the pressure that Leicester exerting through the breakdown. Look at that, it's just Tuolangi having another nibble and pushing the Stad player down that just puts Dupuy off.
Time out, number 15.
Hugo Bonneval
Yeah, okay.
will be replacing Jibril Kamara. So a change of fullback. Bonneval, one of those who probably can consider himself pretty unlucky to have missed out on the starting 15. On a first cap for France in 2 years, back in February. So some firepower being added by Gonzalo Quesada. And again, heat at scrum time for the Tigers, but they've done enough. And this is Bayanu busting through. 2 to beat. Good tackle made by Sanzel.
Open play, nothing formed.
Not the kindest of passes. Tate having to clear up. Kept alive. Owen Williams. Youngs.
Okay, no, it's okay. Hands are up, ball off the ground. Play.
A bit of indecision.
Away, Pent.
And a big
Move away.
hit coming in from Dumairu, who's then challenging for the ball. Barrow. Albert's in the thick of it. Williams. Beetham, lovely outside break, and dummy too. Tate on his shoulder. Peter Beetham showing some lovely touches in recent weeks. And the Tigers come again. Driven on this time by Bateman. To the short side they go. Tate back into the traffic.
No hands, Rock!
Stad once again at full stretch. And Veanu skipping free. Talusa Veanu! The cherry on the cake. By his standards, a relatively quiet match. With the twinkling feet and the eye for a gap, doing for Stade Francais.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, exceptional piece of skill from Veanu. We saw it initially with this break that he made. He set up the whole attack with the right-handed fend on Julien Dupuis. And then when the ball goes over the top, well, first of all, Beetham showing a lot of skill. He's been outstanding. Him and Tate combining nicely. When the ball comes out wide, Williams throws it in. Look at that one-handed draw in. Shows on the outside, step round the corner, and beautiful skill, Austin.
Yeah, it's wonderful footwork from Veanu, but Clisson defensively, I'm not sure I can use that word defensively. He came out the line far too quick, and with a guy with the footwork and the ability and balance of Veanu's got the ball in his hands, you're just not going to stop him unless you stop those legs from moving.
We'll have a look at that grounding of the ball, mate.
Oh, hello.
Oh, this would be a great shame if Veanu hasn't put it down. Let's have a look.
What do you have a look at? The grounding of the ball?
Yeah. But
Okay, show me again.
Just as he goes up.
That's fine.
Fine.
That's okay. I mean, he doesn't need to put it out. He doesn't need to ground it with one hand. For all you young kids watching out there that want to score tries, you don't need to put it down with one hand. In fact, you're better off putting it down with two. Because that's exactly the sort of thing that can happen.
21 green needs to come on, tell him.
Well, what are the odds of that? What are the odds? 3 from 3 is hit the post.
Well, I always look at the kickers before the game when they go for this drill where they're aiming for the post. Look at that, you've got to celebrate this guy. He's been, you talk about Charles Piutau, George Smith. I think his introduction to Leicester Tigers has been sensational this season.
Okay, good to go, time on.
Wonderful footwork, great strength. He's got his rewards.
10 tries in 22 appearances for Talusa Veanu, who's setting off again. And he's very nearly slipping away. First alerted to his brilliance with that fabulous try he scored against Treviso away from home. The opposition perhaps not up to an awful lot, but the footwork was just staggering. Williams digs it through. Taken in by Dumeru. Stade playing with fire. Dupuis. Alberts.
Away, Green.
Some proud men out there involved in a very dispiriting afternoon. Little burst comes on though, and away they drift. Sazel, forwards it went.
Well, they're trying, Stade Francais, but they're so disjointed. They've lost so much of their structure and shape. Not that they turned up with very much in the first place. Just a hint that just got held back there.
Ben Youngs is coming off, and John O'Keto is on in his place. Richard Cockrell with an eye on next week now, surely. Do or die against the Saints at Franklin's Gardens, although it might not quite come down to that. Not a great day at the office for the Youngs family, and Tom will play no further part in this season, being told he's on the telly by Mum.
Exactly. He's Kitto probably didn't expect to play. I think Sam Harrison was originally named on the bench, just sat a couple of places away from us. So this is a really nice period of the game for the players who have come off the Leicester bench. They got just under 12 minutes. The game is well and truly in the bag. It's won, 41 points to 13. And if they keep their composure and their structure, and there's a couple more tries left for Leicester in this game, you feel.
Stay 9. Ball is out now, okay.
Not like that, though.
Welcome to the game, John Oak.
Play on, turnover fair.
Far from ideal.
Stay out, Green.
And the Stad have the ball.
Advantage, pulling
Poised
in.
over it is Alo Emile. Dupuis for Alberts. Danty. Dumaru or Sazel.
Hey, we're going nowhere, no advantage, pull him in.
Yeah, it's good refereeing from Nigel Owens. Again, Tom Croft didn't need to go and
Number
nibble
20.
in there. He's pulled in the ruck, and Nigel Owens just letting things develop, seeing if they made any advances. They didn't, and he's waited 5 phases and gone back.
Yeah, just watching those faces as well. Dupuis is completely exhausted. He's gone.
Long time ago,
Leicester Tigers take off Ben Youngs. He's still probably had a bit in the tank, but Dupuis is walking everywhere. In fact, when someone changes direction, he sighs at them because it means he has to stop and start again.
Well, he'd never play 70 minutes ever in a game, but his coach was trying to keep him on.
Lemley's coming.
Just to think if he can create some sort of magic, but he's hanging.
Well, dare I say it, I'm not sure that fitness was ever right at the top of the Julien Dupuis priority list, was it? There's a great story of him from the Heineken Cup semi-final back in 2009 when he was called out of the changing room to come and kick a goal in the penalty shootout. And I think he was having a crafty fag at the time. Slotted the goal, mind you.
That's once.
So the Parisians searching for some comfort. That's gone forwards again, and it's all going to pot.
Well, you know, they're trying, but it's all in ones and twos. They're very disjointed. There's no cohesion at all in that driving ball. No understanding of where the ball is, who's in front of the ball, who's behind the ball. This man who's been another outstanding performer. Let's have a quick look at his stats. 7 carries, 90 metres made. Gain line success off to Newcastle, of course, at the end of the season. What a great signing he is for the Falcons. They can stay up in the Premiership, of course. And he's got 2 tries and could have easily had a hat-trick.
Time on.
Yeah, he's been outstanding in recent weeks. Fair play to Leicester for playing him as well. It used to be the Leicester way. If you announced you were leaving and going somewhere else, you were put in a quiet room and not allowed to speak to anyone.
Bread and water.
Exactly.
If you're lucky.
Fed very rarely. But he's come out and he's done a job, and he will do so until the end of the year.
Crouch.
It'll be fun watching him and Sinotti, won't it?
Bind.
On either flank for the Falcons, if they do manage to stave off relegation. Kitto involved in a battle with Julien Thomas now, who's on at scrum half. And it's Veganu breaking clear. Manu Tuolangi alongside him. Huge disappointment all around Welford Road.
Time out. Come here.
There's a talking to coming as well. It's Sergio Parisse who's been called into the headmaster's study.
Sergio, I have a lot of respect for you, but that respect needs to work the way. There's nothing wrong with happening there. It was a knock on. He's quite entitled to go off his feet and play the ball afterwards. If I hear you shouting or complaining again, you may not finish this game. Is that clear?
No, it's not.
Knock on, scrum, you a ball, no advantage.
100 lines next.
Well, a lot of other players, he might have just given a penalty back the other way for dissent, because that's what he's not pleased about. Sergio Parisse and Dupuis have just vented their frustration on Nigel Owens for the entire match. He's treading a very fine line.
Where's Mornay staying when you need him? Cleason's come on, missed 4 tackles on the trot, admittedly against Viano, whose footwork I don't think many people would like to defend against.
Crouch!
He's come on and tried to tackle him with his little finger. It's not going to work.
Set!
He's a perfect player to identify those weak tacklers, to come on when people are fatigued, his footwork and everything. That's probably the best Leicester scrum we've seen.
Yep, fortunes have changed at scrum time, and Kitto is breaking away before the intervention of Alberts, who's been a muscular presence since his arrival. And Fraser Balmain's getting in on the act as well.
Back, advantage over!
Kitto, O'Connor, Bateman. Scored a great try against Treviso back in January.
Ball is there, available.
Tuolangi tackled man and ball by Danty.
Hughes. Don't touch, okay, play.
It's there for Alberts. So too the offload. Alo Emil. Burden. Scragged by Vaianu. Alberts again. Into Logo Mulapola. Collision of some consequence. And Tigers have the ball.
He's on his feet, playing the ball, down afterwards.
There it is again. Tuolangi gets the turnover. It was his mistake from the Vaianu pass. But we talked about Nigel Owens and how hot he is on holding on to the ball, and if you just get in there with the right body position, just get jackled over the ball, it'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
And Owen Williams is going to have a crack at the post from here with the game won, 7 odd minutes to play.
I wonder if that's a personal decision. He just feels that he's hit the post 3 times, going to go for 4 in a row, because maybe just giving everyone a breather. You just feel that there's more tries here, but they've just been run ragged.
Yeah, you don't get extra head start in the semi-final by winning by more in the quarters, and I think Richard Cockrell sent Jordan Murphy on and said, guys, take a break. We've still got several weeks to go and an awful lot to play for.
Yeah, he said when we spoke to him, didn't he? It's a little bit too open for my liking. Loose game, danger of hamstrings twanging.
It's got to be close to Stad's worst ever defeat, isn't it, Ali? This
could be their heaviest. Well, it's not Owen Williams' day with the boot, but it matters that much, apparently.
Job's done, boys, job's done.
Okay, next one.
Might even buy you a half afterwards.
Kitchener to Barrow, Bateman, all the forwards getting involved here. Seb de Chavez to Tate, Thompson. Exhibition stuff now.
When your prop comes on and starts throwing 15-yard spin passes like that, you know you're in control.
Rock is form now.
Kitto picked up by Bateman again. Bustles forward. Williams, Tuolangi, Vaianu. And having a hard time handling Vaianu now. Chasing shadows, Stade Francais. Kitchener the latest to drive inside the 22. Lacafere goes over the top. And the contest for the ball is a good one from the Frenchman.
Just let the ball go. You are on the deck. Don't do nothing with it. You know that. Just let it go afterwards.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the best tackle Clison's made all day there.
Well, that's a fine clearance. Austin, time for your man of the match.
Well, there's been some great performances all round for Leicester in the second row. I think Kitchener and Barrow have been excellent. Obviously, Vaianu has made a mountain of metres, 132 metres. But the guy that stood out is Peter Beetham. His outside break, his reading for the Conovers try. I think he's been absolutely excellent and actually the deciding man. And he's our Heineken man of the match. Well played, Peter Beetham.
2-2 for Peter Beetham, man of the match last week against Gloucester. And again here today in European competition, helping the Tigers on their way to a last 4 place in the Champions Cup. A date with either Racing or Toulon.
No advantage numbers, 2 scrum halves.
Stade now really just scrapping for pride. Desperate to find a way to put this defeat into some sort of context for them, something that they can draw on for the remainder of their season.
I know we've been talking about Viano and Beetham and the signings that they've been this year for Leicester Tigers, because we see all the flash work that they do. But Barrow in particular in the second row has been absolutely monumental. He's made 15 tackles, 16 tackles today. And that is a massive effort for a second row. And he's brought that physicality, that real steadiness that Leicester arguably could have lacked in that position in the past few years. And for years to come, this guy could be an England hopeful as well. We've got loads of second rows knocking around.
It's a very, very competitive area, isn't it? And there have been some shrewd signings in that pack particularly. You mentioned Barrow, but the likes of Fitzgerald, McCaffrey, these were not big name signings, but they've become the heartbeat of the Tigers pack in a very short space of time.
I think you find Parise's knocked that on. Again, the one area of dominance that Stade Francais had early on in the match has fallen away. They're fatigued, and Leicester coming right back into the game. Shaking his head, it's not been his day. To be honest, he's tried, as he always does, but they just shot themselves in the foot, give themselves a mountain to climb in that first half, and have never really recovered.
So the venue for the semi-final featuring the Tigers will depend on the outcome of the match a little later on between Racing and Toulon. If Racing win it, it'll be played at the City Ground in Nottingham. If Toulon win it, it'll be played in Nice.
Yeah, you've got to say, there'll be lots of Leicester Tigers fans sat near their computers, not quite sure what travel arrangements to make. Do they make the relatively short trip to Nottingham, which will be far less expensive for them, or do they get on the plane over to France? What a great match.
Penalty Leicester.
He's moved.
Nice problems to have if you're a Leicester Tigers fan, I guess.
Yeah, there are worse.
Has the earpiece come off yet? Not quite.
Well, it's hard to know where Stade go from here. French champions, they won't get anywhere near the playoffs in the top 14 playing like this. 21 points behind Toulouse in 6th place. And their confidence shot to bits.
Yeah, their season's over, and looking at some of the names that they're bringing in or potentially bringing in next year, they'll have to restart. You have to have big questions over their coaching, though, because it's not like they haven't got any stars in their lineup right now, and yet they're performing far less than the sum of their parts.
So probably one last attack. Kitchener outstanding, towering again. Is it Leicester that'll finish? Oh no, they've been turned over. There we go.
Alberts carrying the fight into the Leicester defence. Plisson for Danty. Williams is there to make the tackle. Hello, Emile. Last knockings. And one or two lone Stade Francais flags being brandished, fluttering in the breeze, but with no gusto, with no relish, and with no confidence at all.
Blow it, Nige, blow it, Nige.
The Tigers flying. Plenty of near misses since their most recent trip to the last 4 back in 2009, but they are once again European semi-finalists.